Hello YouTube. So yeah, there will be spoilers in this video, but not just for Bates Motel. There are also going to be spoilers for the original Psycho, and maybe even go into the sequels. I know that I'm definitely going to bring up the fourth one, but yeah, I might talk about the others as well. So yeah, just be warned, there are spoilers for these, and if you don't want them spoiled, then just go watch them first. They are actually pretty good movies. And so yeah, with that, let's start talking about it. So yeah, at this point, Norman is now fully insane. He even keeps his mother's corpse in the basement now. Yeah, he's a normal kid. And yeah, he is at the point where his DID has fully pretty much taken control, really. And yeah, he blacks out a lot. And apparently that doesn't interfere with him running a hotel. Don't know why, but apparently he can run a motel perfectly. It's just the fact that he'll be killing some people, that might be a minor issue. But yeah, after he killed his mom, he pretty much just still imagines that she's there, and his mental issues get worse. And then eventually he makes a friend in a man named Chick, who has been on the show before, and really, I wasn't a big fan of this character. In fact, I'm still really not. I mean, he has some good moments, but really, that's just sort of from the delivery of some things. But outside of that, he's just sort of there for no reason. He seems so out of place in the story. But yeah, I guess it's good that Norman's making friends. All his friends are sort of leaving him now, so I guess, yeah, that might be kind of nice. And yeah, Chick decides that he's gonna get revenge on Norman's uncle, whose name I forgot. And that happens later. Okay. I don't know why he thought that Norman would know a lot about his uncle for some reason. I mean, like, he just randomly assumes that. Like, never even questions that they might not be on good speaking terms or anything. But apparently he just thinks that, yeah, he just sort of knows where he is, so I can go get my revenge. And why is he getting revenge? Well, this ties into the last season where Norman's uncle beat him up. And that was really it. What a reason for revenge, I guess. So yeah, he wants revenge for that incredibly vague reason. And yeah, he wants Norman's help in getting it, but then decides, nah, I'd rather pursue the career of writing a book about you. I guess that this is supposed to be a reference to the novel that the original Psycho was based off of, which, kind of oddly, is actually based off of a real event. So it's a book based off of a real event, which eventually got a movie, which got a lot of sequels, which got a reboot, which got a TV show. Yep, nothing is confusing about that. So yeah, I guess that that's what it's supposed to be referencing, but it's really pointless in the grand scheme of things on this. And also, Alex Romero wants revenge on Norman. Why? Because Alex apparently fell in love with Norma at one point. I really don't get why. Norma is so annoying to me. But yeah, apparently he did, and then when she died, he was devastated, and then he wanted revenge on Norman, but got thrown in jail, and now he's got to break out and try and kill a kid. What good motives there. So yeah, that's what he's planning on doing, and he does that later. Good for him. Though he doesn't get to kill Norman, instead Norman kills him. And then just sort of cries about it for a little bit, and then goes into a state of complete denial, and just sort of remembers the very first episode a lot. What? But yeah, it got weird at the end. And also, Dylan and Emma, they're living it up in, I really forget where, they're just living it up, and they got a really nice house, they're married now, they even have a kid, and you know, I still think that Emma just looks way too young to be married to Dylan. I mean, she just still looks really young. I know that the actress is in her 20s and everything, but I don't know, she just really looks pretty young. But I mean, they got a kid and they're married, so I guess I shouldn't have an issue with this. And eventually, he just sort of finds out that Norma died. But until that, though, there's just sort of him and Emma talking for a while, and that's really all that goes on with them. And after he finds out that his mom died, he decides, hey, yeah, my brother might be kind of insane and killing people right now. I should probably go check on him. And he does that, only to have him be almost killed by Norman. And then Norman just calls the police on himself, and they eventually arrest him. And no, Norman never smiles to the camera. I was so disappointed about that. And yeah, he gets arrested. Then Alex comes there. He tries to get his revenge, and it doesn't work because, I don't know, Norman can just outsmart him. Yes, a very professional cop is outsmarted by in his 20s boy. He's the best. So yeah, he's defeated by him, and then Norman just goes back. Him and Dylan, they try and make up, but yeah, Dylan kind of gets grossed out by the fact that Norman just sort of set up his mother's corpse so then they could have dinner together. Norman might be pretty insane by this point. And then eventually Dylan snaps him out of it, and Norman really doesn't want to snap out of it, so he grabs a knife and he's about ready to kill him. So then Dylan decides to shoot the knife out of his hand. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, that would be something smart to do and not have you very emotionally destroyed about the fact that you just killed your brother. No, clearly what you needed to do was wait for him to come at you while saying, no, you don't have to do this, and then just shoot him. It's clearly what you needed to do. Really, I mean, like, you couldn't have shot that knife out of his hand. I mean, Norman was standing there for like 10 seconds, so you clearly didn't have an opportunity. Guy who's actually pretty good with a gun. Yeah, I don't even know why. But yeah, then Norman dies, and at least he's reunited with his mother, who I thought would be kind of angry about the fact that Norman killed her, but apparently she's really cool with it. And Dylan just sort of goes off, and he's happy with his wife and stuff. That's pretty much it. Oh, also, there's a lot of stuff actually referring to the old Psycho movie, like Norman meets up with a lot of the characters from that, including Sam Loomis, the main character from the first movie that I forget the name of, and Marilyn. So, yeah, he meets them, and yes, the shower scene does happen, and it's not Marilyn who dies. It's Sam Loomis. In some ways, I do like this change, as, yeah, Sam Loomis isn't a good person here. I can't really remember if he was in the original, as I haven't seen that one in a while. Like, it's been about a year since I saw it, and yeah, I wasn't really paying the most attention to everything that wasn't going on with Norman, so yeah, I wasn't really all that concerned with him, but I mean, like, I do remember that he did cheat on his wife, but that was really all. Or at least I think that he did. I really don't remember anything about him. Like, I really did not care about everything else that wasn't about Norman Bates in that movie. But, yeah. So that's pretty much what happens this season. It went full Psycho territory, and I got my problems. Okay, so first I want to bring up the negatives, mainly because I have more positives than negatives about this season and the whole show itself, but yeah, I want to bring up the negatives first. Probably my biggest problem with this season is that they kill off Norman, mainly because I've seen the sequels, and I really love the sequels. They are way better than they should have been, and they actually really do evolve the story of Norman Bates and get you to feel even more tragedy for him. Sure, the fourth movie is pretty much what the show is about, but it actually does end up giving Norman a happy ending. And there's also an alternate ending where he just sort of gets arrested at a bank and then dies in an institution. But he dies happily and helped out some random nut job and gave him the rights to the Bates Motel, so that's something. But yeah, I'm really kind of disappointed that we can't ever get that now, because really I do love the way the show worked, and I really would have liked it if maybe 20 years later or something we got a sequel show to this, because I think that really could have worked. Now the reason why I think they did this is that, yeah, it does make more sense to kill off Norman at the end, because, well, kind of where you would have expected that the first movie would have ended, but yeah, he didn't die in that one, so sequels are made. But in this one, yeah, he dies, and while I do see that as the much better option for him, or at least for like 23 years it is, until he gets married and has a kid, then he's better somehow. And yeah, while I do really think that they could have done that, I do see the reason as to why they did this way. Also, I don't really know if they've actually seen the sequels or not. The sequels really aren't that popular, or at least not compared to the original, so it would make sense that they haven't seen it. But then there's also the matter that there is a character on the show named Emma, which is actually one of the characters in the second and third movie. And also that there are a lot of scenes that are very similar to the fourth movie, where it's pretty much just showing the origin of Norman Bates. There are a lot of scenes similar to that in this whole entire show. So it gets me sort of thinking maybe they actually did see those, in which, why didn't they do those? I mean, I can understand wanting to be different from the originals, but I would have really loved to have seen them actually have done these, because I would have really loved to see their take on them. Although, that doesn't make what they did with this season any less good. It's just that I had a little bit of a problem with the fact that they didn't really need to kill Norman here, as, yeah, they could just chop the knife out of his hand. That was really my biggest problem with this ending. And, of course, one of the biggest things I had a problem with is one scene that I was so disappointed that they cut out. What scene is that? Well, is the scene where Norman is talking to Marilyn in the parlor, and, well, that's sort of where the line, "we all go a little mad sometimes," came from. I was so disappointed that they cut that scene short, because, yeah, it was really starting to get interesting and tense there, and that's actually my favorite scene in the original. It builds up so much tension, it is so well executed, and Bates Motel seemed like it was about ready to do exactly what it did, and I honestly could have seen them doing it amazingly. I mean, there are so many great moments that they could have done with that there. And actually, there are even some very, very subtle references to that scene throughout the show. Like, in the insane asylum arc, Norman sort of just refers to it as a place, which is actually what he refers to it in that one scene. I would have loved for that to have come back in some way, and Freddie Highmore does such a great performance as Norman Bates, and he's so similar to Anthony Perkins in the role that I just desperately wanted to see how he would have done that scene, and then of course it's cut short by a phone call. Yes, because what I really wanted Bates Motel to do was instead just cut that whole scene short, because Marilyn's got to take a phone call. Yeah, that's what everyone wanted to see, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm really pissed off that they cut out that scene, but those are pretty much my two biggest problems with this whole entire season. Is that there were some things that I just really wanted to see happen that unfortunately we won't get to see now. And yeah, those are just sort of really the only minor things. Okay, well also, Chick. What was his point? Like, why is he here? Really, why is he here? Is it for that one scene where they're asking him about the dead animals? Is that what he was really there for? when they're just asking about the dead animals, and also for Norman Uncle's death where he gets hit by a car, but I still think that they could have really done that in a different way and just had Norman or Norma kill him, but yeah, clearly, no, we needed to have Chick get a murder here. And yeah, well, I did sort of like Chick's involvement, being that he was actually sort of a friend to Norman when he desperately needed one. Yeah, he's sort of just using him as a means, and that's really just sort of makes him pointless. And then in the end, he just gets shot through the head. Very, very important that we had him here. We really, really needed to know what he was doing after he fixed a window. No, we didn't. So, yeah, really Chick was the only character that I really do feel like they could just cut out of this whole season, and then they could just devote more time to actually more interesting things. Like, well, everything else going on. So let's go on to the pros. Norman freaking Bates. So, yeah, I have said before, not on video or anything or on my show, but I have said a lot off camera that I really love Freddie Highmore's performance as Norman Bates. He perfectly captures everything that made Anthony Perkins so great in this role. Even down to the very subtle detail that pretty much just sort of wipes his hands on his pants when he sits down. I really love the attention to detail that Freddie Highmore takes into this, and maybe this is just done from the direction, but either way, someone should really get credit for this, because they pay attention to a lot of little mannerisms with him in that role, and I love how they do it. And seriously, Freddie Highmore in this show is fantastic. I cannot emphasize that enough. And also, since he wasn't Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it does allow me to say things like, Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is now a psychotic killer. I love being able to say stuff like that. So, yeah, it's kind of amazing, though, that he went from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory to Bates Motel. I really love just the complete difference in films there. But, yeah, he does an amazing job in this role, and yeah, he's still very tragic in this whole entire show. Even though we're in the psycho territory now, where, yeah, you're supposed to root for other characters, Norman is still a very tragic character, and one that I still very much felt for. I really do love how he was executed here, which is actually one of the main reasons why I really do wish that they didn't kill him, so then we could have seen more of him later. It's just because they did such a good job with him here that I want to see him even more. So yeah, really me wanting that is more of a compliment to the show than a con, but yeah, unfortunately, he has died. It's pretty sad. And actually, they do treat his death very well. It's just that I would have loved to have seen them actually try out some of the Psycho sequels with this version of Norman Bates. I feel like they really could have captured a lot with that. And unfortunately, they just never decided to do that. But yeah, I do still really love Freddie Highmore's acting here, and he does an outstanding performance as Norman. And so yeah, Freddie Highmore, you did a great job. Then we got Vera, I forget her last name, as Norma, or well, in this season, she really just plays Mother and Norma's corpse. And she does a very outstanding job as a dead body. It's clearly all that we should remember her for. So, yeah, okay, her job as Mother this season, I actually enjoyed her more in this role than I did with her as Norma. Because, really, for me, Norma just sort of got on my nerves a lot. Like, I really did try and like her, and there were a lot of moments where I did, but then she would just go and complain and complain and complain. Just about, oh no, my window broke. This clearly needs to be a major plot for a few episodes. And oh no, I need to just go dump all my problems on this random person I met at this party because, well, he's a random person at a party. I can go dump my problems on everyone. And yeah, she was just really a selfish character a lot. Although I will say that she was a better mother than the actual Psycho film's continuity, in which Norma was a very abusive woman who may or may not have killed her own husband. They never really make it clear if it was actually her sister or her that did. But yeah, at least she is a nicer person than she is in that. But yeah, I still just didn't really overall like her. It's not that there was anything wrong with the acting or the writing. It's just that for some odd reason, nothing really clicked with me on her. I don't know, she just got really annoying to me. And I really do love her performance as Mother, though, because here she's not really playing the same character. When you get down to it, she's playing someone who, no matter what, will protect Norman and not be frightened away by anything that's going on with this. And yeah, I really did find that to be a much more interesting role for her. And yeah, she does still yell a lot, but at least there is more of a point to it inside of Norma might just be on her period, so she's kind of emotional right now. Like, and apparently she was like that every week. But yeah, that's pretty much just sort of how I saw her on this show. I mean, I do remember some very good emotional moments with her, but overall, yeah, the most things that stuck out to me about her was her annoying moments, and while I do like her acting there, I just never really liked her in that role overly, but when she is playing Mother, then she actually does play it a whole lot better, and I really do like her performance here. I liked it better than The Conjuring, at least. I didn't like The Conjuring. Deal with it. So yeah, then we also have Dylan. I'm very mixed on the character of Dylan here. On the one hand, why does he need to exist? Norman never had a brother. Ever. Yeah, never. I saw the fourth movie, which shows in great detail his childhood. He never had a brother. Where did they get the idea to give him a brother? I get that was for more dramatic purposes, so then you can have more subplots going on, but still, why did Norman Bates need a brother? But yeah, he's got one here, and I'm very mixed on him. I've actually been very mixed on this character ever since I saw him on the show for the first time. Really, to me, it just comes down to his acting here. While, yes, the actor, whose name I don't know, does pull out a few pretty good performances here and there, honestly, he just seems so bored most of the time. Like, when he finds out that his mom dies. Oh, God, that's sad, I guess. Oh, God, why? I guess I'm depressed. I'm gonna go take a walk outside. Like, that's pretty much how he acts. Like, he'll get a few good moments where his acting shines, and then he'll just be like, I'm bored now. I'm just gonna go do something else. And, yeah, that's pretty much why I don't really like his character here. It's mainly just because he seems pretty bored with the role. And, while I don't fully hate his character, and he is actually a very likable one, and really, I got no problems with the character, it's just that some of the acting from him isn't really the best, or that he's just not really written as well when it comes to emoting. But, yeah, I don't really think I can actually find anyone to fault for that, and yeah, I do actually like him the best this season, because, well, when you get down to it, this season, it's pretty much him trying to protect his family, and also him trying to look out for his brother. And that's what really I thought could have been more of a focus for him this whole entire show, but for some odd reason it never really was. It was only until like the 4th season that we actually started to get that, and now it fully does come to a resolve, and I really did like how it was done. It's just that, yeah, there were a few moments where I just really couldn't get into Dylan as a character, although I did like him the most this season, and he does do a whole lot better acting-wise here. And there are even some really good moments where he just sort of meets up with some people from the town that Bates Motel is in. I forget the town's name. I think it's White Pine Bay or something. But yeah, when we do actually get to see him meet with his old drug trafficking buddy, I forgot his name. But yeah, that was actually some pretty good moments, and yeah, there are a few moments that are like that too. So yeah, while I don't like his overall acting really, I do think that this is definitely where he was acting the best. Yes, he's still not that great of an actor. Don't get me wrong, he's not bad, it's just that, yeah, when it comes to emoting, really, he just doesn't really do it the best. And so then we also have Emma, who, her point here, she's married to Dylan, they have a kid, and her mother is dead, and she finds out. That is all. Now, I will give her this, that there are some moments where I did actually really like her reaction to finding out that Norma had died was really good. And the fact that she just immediately tells her husband that, even though she probably knows that it would probably devastate him. And also, she could have gotten revenge for Dylan hiding some secret about her mother. She probably could have gotten revenge for that, but no, never decided to. Emma, you kind of let me down there. You don't have a want for revenge. That is disappointing to me. Wait, what? And actually, there are some really good moments when she actually talks to Norman. I really did like it when she actually just walked in there and just has a talk with him, and she immediately knows that this isn't Norman that she's talking to. That was just something that I really liked, and yeah, that was definitely the moment where I got to like her character a whole lot more. And yeah, I just sort of enjoyed her as a character throughout the show, and her relationship with Norman has made her pretty interesting. And yeah, I do still kind of find it funny that her name is Emma, when in the movies, that was secretly maybe Norman's actual mom. Yeah, I don't think I can rewatch the show knowing that. I mean, yeah, okay, they have different last names, but it's kind of clear where they got the name Emma from in inspiration from Bates Motel. Either that or they just really liked the name Emma, and they were just like, hey, we want to make this character. What should we name her? Let's go with Emma. Why? Because I like the name Emma. Shut up. So, yeah, Emma. She's okay, I guess. I mean, like, I don't really hate her or anything. It's just that she's not really involved with this season. But she is still a pretty enjoyable character. And, yeah, I like her. She's just not the best, really. So, then after her, we have Alex Romero. Oh, how the mighty have fallen, huh, Alex? So, yeah, he was once a very good cop. In fact, in the beginning of the show, he was pretty much the only uncorrupt cop in the whole entire department. Or at least out of all the cops that we get to see. I mean, yeah, okay, sure, there are some cops that I guess, like, we don't really get to see that much that probably are as good as him, but yeah, he's really the one that they focus on more, and throughout the whole entire show, he's been a very solid cop, and that was really what made him likable to me. No matter what, he was uncorruptible. And then in the 4th season, he marries Norma to help her pay for something. Because everything revolves around Norma. At least in her little world. Until she dies, which is kind of nice. And then stuff still revolves around her, so whatever. I guess that in death it was the same as in life for her. But yeah, she pretty much brought the downfall of Alex Romero, which is another reason I don't really like her. And so, yeah, what exactly happened? They got married, and while at first it was pretty much just for financial reasons, eventually things actually got romantic between the two. And then when that happened, Norman Bates came home from an institution. He seemed to have been getting better, but yeah, he obviously wasn't. And when he found out about Alex, that's when he really went off the edge. And Alex kept on warning Norma that, yeah, this is gonna get her killed. She should just commit him. But no matter what, she stuck to her kid, and that pretty much resulted in her death. Alex obviously knew this, and yeah, he saved Norman for some reason. I don't really know why. I mean, he obviously didn't like Norman, and pretty much blamed him for her death. Don't know why he wanted to save him there. He could have just been like, oh no, I was too late. Oh, how tragic. If only I could have saved him. How devastating a loss. But yeah, really here to me, I just didn't really like him this season. He's pretty much just all bent on revenge, and really nothing else. It's just revenge, I must have it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There are some good moments where we do actually fully see just how much the death of Norma has affected him, but yeah, outside of that, though, I just really didn't like his overall story of I'm an innocent cop who has now been framed. Now, I must go and get my revenge. He just seems like a weird 80s movie, which, yeah, maybe if it wasn't in Bates Motel, then I might have liked it, but it is. So it's like pretty much an 80s revenge movie in Bates Motel. It feels pretty out of place to me. Although I do still like his character here, just not as much as I have in the past. I honestly think that I liked him up until season 3, and then he just sort of got romantic with Norma a lot, and I just didn't really like him as much because Norma. But yeah, he is still a pretty decent character here, and I do understand his motives, and that can still make him a likable character. It's just not as likable as he used to be. And so, that's kind of it when it comes to characters. I guess I can sort of think of the others, like maybe the ones who actually relate to, well, actually Psycho, which, yeah, they do actually pull a very nice twist in that, no, it is not Marilyn who dies. Instead, it's Sam Loomis, which, yeah, in some respects, yeah, he is the one who deserved it more because, well, in this show, he's a complete a-hole. But, yeah, I don't know. I still think that pretty much the way that they did this was kind of weird. Like, just one moment, she's taking a shower. You think that Norman's about ready to go in there, wig and dress and all, and kill her with the music playing, which unfortunately, no, they never play the Psycho music. I was so disappointed by that. Apparently you have the rights to Psycho, but no, you don't have the rights to the music. Why would you have the rights to that? I mean, you just have the rights to the film, but why would you have the rights to the soundtrack of the film? It's impossible to get. And yeah, I was really disappointed that they didn't have that song during the shower scene, but I mean, it is still pretty good, the musical choice there. But yeah, really the characters that actually related to Psycho, those three main ones, Sam's wife, Sam, and Marilyn, they're okay, and they do get some pretty decent development. It's just, I don't know. I think that by the end, they really just didn't amount to anything outside of, well, getting the Psycho story done. And outside of that, really, there was nothing. Although Sam's wife did have a bit more of a point that was actually kind of interesting, as she started to develop a relationship with Norman, which did make her a little bit more interesting, but yeah, not enough to the point that I actually remember her name, outside of just calling her Sam's wife, so yeah. Although she is okay here. But yeah, I just didn't really overly like her. But the shower thing, that was something that was very surprising to me, but I don't really know how to feel about it overall, because in a way, Marilyn is actually a character that you would have wanted to have gone out with this more, as she is a lot more likable than Sam is, but yeah, then again, it's also a very weird change, which only seems to be there just because they're just like, ha, you want to see this iconic scene? Nope, not gonna happen. Instead, we're just gonna kill Sam. Why are we gonna kill Sam instead? Because we don't want to do the iconic scene that you all know. Yeah, that was very weird to me. It just sort of seems like that was the only reason for this decision instead of, well, storytelling purposes. Although it does sort of relate to a story near the end, but yeah, really, that whole entire story could just been cut out and it wouldn't have amounted to a thing. Although, I did kind of like Marilyn's line where she's just like in the shower and she's like, yeah, screw this crap, and then just leaves. Kind of meta there. Although, who takes a shower with the door open? Like, why the heck did she do that? Like, she's just leaving the door open with the windows fully open as well. So, yeah, I guess that she just wants someone to drive by and see her nude. And, yeah, like, why does she do that? Norman could have just been walking out putting towels in a different room or something, and he would have seen that. He's only in his 20s, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that he would have turned to see that. I mean, he is Norman Bates. I mean, yeah, okay, sure, Marilyn doesn't know who Norman Bates is, but there is still that very well chance that even though she doesn't know him, he could just still looked in. Why did she take a shower with the door open? I don't get it. But yeah, she takes a shower with the door open. That's something. And absolutely no blinds closed on the windows or anything, because, you know, who needs privacy? But yeah, for all the characters in Psycho, they were okay. Just, I don't really think that in the end they had anything to do outside of, well, they're from Psycho, so they had to be in here. But yeah, for the season overall, it's pretty good. One thing that I really want to bring up, the cinematography. This is something that is all throughout the whole show, and something that absolutely needs to be addressed. The cinematography on this show is amazing. It looks like something right out of a Hitchcock movie. I mean, really, look at these shots. They are incredible. I just really, really love seeing all the different shots here. It looks like something Alfred Hitchcock would have shot himself. And actually, this was the very first show that I actually analyzed a scene in with just sort of the direction. I have never done that before outside of on this show, and haven't really done it since, but yeah, when it's actually something that I can analyze like that, I definitely get a new appreciation for it. And even though I did love the cinematography, yeah, before I did that, I do still absolutely adore it here. It looks outstanding. I mean, really, I just love the cinematography in this whole scene. This whole entire show, actually. It's just great. So, yeah, cinematography, use of color, any sort of thing in the form of direction on this show is great. I love how it's done, and I cannot emphasize enough how great the direction on this show is. Also, the people who are actually making the show and writing it and everything, they did a really good job, because the writing is really solid. The actors, well, not all of them are that great, Dylan. I do still enjoy them. Oh, actually, I forgot to talk about Norman's uncle and Dylan's dad. Yes, Norman's brother, yeah, Norman's uncle is also Norman Brother's dad. And he's biologically, and Dylan is biologically related to Norma. You guys can put the pieces together. I mean, they do emphasize that in the show once it's revealed, but yeah, I don't want to give that away. Just let you guys figure it out on your own. So, yeah, that was really risque for this show. I mean, like, really freaking risque. Why do they need incest? But, yeah. Why? Just why? That need to be there. I really don't get it. But, yeah, so, his uncle. He's okay. I mean, we can see how really devastated he is over the loss of his sister, which is nice. And, yeah, I do still really like how he is actually the only one who, when Norman is pretty much mother, he actually sees him as her. He is pretty much the one who recognizes just how much he is similar to her. At least when he is mother. I do really love that moment. He only sees him as Norma when he's actually, well, mother. I do just really love that moment. There are a lot of good moments like that with Norman's uncle. I can't remember his name. But yeah, I did really enjoy him here. It's just that really, in the grand scheme of things, I just sort of forget about him because really he's not in this that much. It's kind of disappointing, really. But yeah, he was still good here. And so, for Season 5 itself, well, yes, it does very much stray from the plots of the sequels to Psycho, which are very good, by the way. If you haven't seen those, definitely go check them out. They are very, very solid sequels, and much better than they should have been. Like, really, you would think that sequels to Psycho would have been pretty bad, but really, they're surprisingly very good. And actually very interesting as well. Even in the made-for-TV stuff, they do have some interesting moments. But, yeah, back onto the show. While it does stray from the plot of the sequels, I did still very much like what they did with this season. Although one thing that kind of disappointed me, we never see the death of Dr. Edwards. Why even say that he's dead? Why even have him this season? I mean, yeah, we had a great moment with him and Norman talking, but that just means that Norman was talking to himself at table, and no one in the whole restaurant was questioning that. Just like, hey, you see that nut job over there crying and talking to the table? Yeah, I see that. Isn't that kind of weird? Yeah, let's not question it or tell the guy about it. Let's instead just act like this is totally normal. We're very nice people that way. Like, seriously, why don't they show us his death? I mean, like, yeah, okay, he does play into the shock at the end, but yeah, I do still really would have liked to have seen that. Did Norman have anything to do with his death at all? They never say. It's just that he died in a car accident. Norman could have easily done that, as he's using his mother's car now. So yeah, did he do it? We'll never know, because the show decided, nah, you don't need to know. Although, yeah, I am actually gonna miss the random therapist that wasn't in the show that long. Yeah, kind of disappointing that he actually wasn't in the show that much, as he is really good here. It's just that he's not really in it that much. Anyway, back on what's actually happening outside of a character who had one scene this whole season and then a little bit of a lip service. Although I do really like that when you actually see him the very first time in the season and the last, it's in pretty much a scene that is directly taken from Psycho. Except in that movie, it was done with different characters. So I really loved how they did that. It's just sort of a little reference that nerds like me will understand. But yeah, I did still really like that. So yeah, Dr. Edwards, he is in this for one scene. But it's a really good scene, so therefore I needed to talk about him. But yeah, this season, they fully went Psycho territory here, and yeah, that was very, very interesting territory to see them finally get to. Because, yeah, we all knew the show was building up to that, but it's just kind of interesting to see them finally tackle it, as Psycho is such an iconic movie. And while, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the movie, really. Actually, I found it kind of boring when it's not Norman Bates, but or at least when Norm Bates isn't on screen, then I just found it pretty boring. But this show has found a way to take everything that I found boring with it and make it much more interesting. And so in a way, it sort of fixed all the problems. But then also it fixes things that it doesn't need to fix. Like some really great scenes from the original that I would have loved seeing in this movie that unfortunately we never get. And yeah, there are quite a lot of moments where you could just say, we never got this, because time restraints, I'm guessing. And yeah, that's kind of disappointing, especially since they're just they don't actually have Marilyn leave in that one scene. Yes, this is the main scene that I'm actually going to talk about, and the scenes that were cut short. Well, okay, so why she leave? A phone call, not from how disturbing Norman is getting here. No, she had a phone call. Clearly, that was more important to attend to. Yeah, there were a lot of moments like that where just why? Why did you cut that? Seriously, I would have loved seeing that. But, yeah. back onto what happens this season, or at least, well, what my overall thoughts about it was, I enjoyed it a lot. It did a really great job with it, and while I am kind of disappointed that we can't ever get a sequel to the show ever, I do still really love what they did with it here. If you haven't seen Bates Motel yet, I definitely recommend checking it out, if you're a fan of Psycho or not, because it is a really, really solid show. And trust me, I am not a fan of Psycho, and I am saying that. Although I am a fan of the sequels, which is really weird. But yeah, I am not a big Psycho fan, but I actually really enjoyed what they did with this show. So whether you're a Psycho fan or not, there's definitely something worth watching in this. And, well, yes, this season might be the one where you might just want to give up on it a little, because there are a lot of changes from what actually happens originally with the story. Yeah, I do still really like how it was done, and it is very interesting, and it treats the story with a lot of respect. So, yeah, I really overall enjoyed this whole show and this season a lot. So, yeah. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely do yourself a favor and check it out. That's pretty much it. Bye.